I have very, very good news. My bishop told me that I am not possessed. Isn't that awesome? Well, sometimes I can feel demonic influence eating my brain like gangrene, and it's such a sickening feeling, but at the same time there are certain enjoyable aspects of every demonic influence, and I think that we often forget that. And because we're human beings, we are somewhat fallible, so we give in to these temptations, and that doesn't make us bad. I think that just makes us susceptible to the bad that is inside of us because of the world. Now, I don't know if I necessarily believe that, like, oh, we're just born with that, or if that's something that's, like, passed down, or that's worldly influence. I feel like it's probably a combination. Like, I don't look at a baby and assume that baby is a sinner all because of some stupid shit that an obviously brainwashed person told me. Because the really cool thing about babies and kids is that they are innocent, which is why the world works so hard to get them young and infiltrate what could have been an actual childhood by making it political, making it psychological, okay? People develop serious psychological issues when they're a kid because not only do their brains not develop properly, but it's like their emotional responses are not, I really don't know the proper term for it. Just say unhealthy. They're unhealthy. Yes, very, very, very unhealthy. So, if you grow up with parents that are really, really controlling, and you're not able to express yourself in ways that would be positive for you. And I don't just mean like, politically correct what they're saying. Like, oh, well, if my 7-year-old boy thinks that he's a girl, he should be allowed to go to a clinic and become a girl. That's not what I'm talking about, okay? I'm talking about if somebody does something to you, and that something is really, really bad, and you can't talk about it, that's probably going to affect you for the rest of your life, Like, my parents are extremely domineering, and they're not the way that they are maliciously. They're just that way. And it took me a long time to just, like, get over the fact that they were that way, It took a long time and a lot of pot, okay? It's funny how negative of a view they have on marijuana. Because marijuana literally makes them a lot more tolerable. But, it's true though. it's allowed me to see things in a much fairer way. Like, I don't see myself as a victim, and I don't see them as oppressive. And I think that would be really helpful for a lot of people if they stop thinking that everybody was out to get them, and they realize that they don't have to please everybody. But, you know, parents are really bad about this. Siblings are really bad about this. Management's bad about it. I mean, I've dealt with this so much at my job, where my manager will try to make me feel guilty because I don't want to stay for an additional work shift because I have other shit to do. You know? People use the guilt approach because they know that it works. So it works in families, it works in religion, it works in jobs. But then that person isn't doing what you want them to do because they want to do the right thing, whatever that means. They are just a people pleaser that doesn't want to disappoint you, and they're going to internalize the fact that they do that to themselves, and eventually it'll really chip away at their confidence. I used to be the type of person that, like, if people asked me to do something, I had to do it. And if they were disappointed with me, I would just let that shit get to me. Now, that's not to say that it doesn't still get to me ever, but it definitely doesn't have the weight that it used to. And that plumb pisses people off that do not have boundaries. Yeah, honey, I've worked on my boundary. My boundary implementations, okay? Is that the right word? It's probably not the right word, but it's fine. My boundary exercises, how about that? Because, yeah, I think the bigged problem with people in relationships, especially romantic relationships, but you see this a lot with families, you know? I don't know why I keep looking over there. There's nobody over there, and I'm not even changing lanes. It's like so stupid. It's just force of habit. But yeah, it seems like the problems that people have in their own families, they carry on with them into their romantic relationships, and then their offspring. If they go that particular route. And so, if people don't figure out a way to deal with certain things that happened to them a long time ago, all these other people that have the misfortune of entering that person's life for whatever reason, God help you if you're fucking that person, well, they have to deal with it. I don't know if I'm just extremely resilient, and I created this other world that I can live in because the real one sucks, and I've always known that. So it's like I always have this like fantastical alternative, and I'm so lucky for that. But most people aren't lucky enough to be able to just live in their head. Most people don't even know that that's a possibility. But should I do a separate channel just on psychological shit?